Our next speaker would be Dr. Vilmos Fas from Budapest. And I'm very happy to introduce our last speaker in this session, Dr. Vilmos Fas from Budapest Metropolitan University in Hungary. And he's going to talk about the implementation of a talent development program in higher education. So the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, because in Hungary, that's 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So regarding my topic, that first of all, I like to tell you some points on the context. Firstly, that's the higher education 21st century. I like to highlight some characteristics, namely globalization and internationalization, which is really significant strategy at Budapest Metropolitan University. We have more than 1,000 students from 100 countries. So that's really evident strategy that we need to fit our programs to this trend. And it's related to growing international competition. So that means that the value of knowledge and value of learning is getting higher at this international competition arena. And finally, which is a strong, consistent to the talent development program at my university, that's closing the gap between work of life and education. So three really significant trends, which is a real coherent view of our program. The next context is we try to focus on not just the quantity, the mass education, but quality. The question of quality of education means that we need to revise our thinking on knowledge and learning, especially traditional view of higher education highlights knowledge is based on declarative knowledge, questioning what, and we try to change this vision of concept of knowledge in spite of declarative knowledge, turning to the procedural knowledge, which means the key question is how. And the next point is how can we revise learning? You need to imagine the narrow meaning of learning and a little bit broader one. Traditional view of narrow meaning of learning is based on high-level concentration with lots of facts and memorization. That's the behavioristic view of learning, and just using your short-term memory. And we need to change this vision to the broader view of learning, especially using your long-term memory and lots of effective dimensions and attitudes regarding learning. So summarizing this contextual part, quality of higher education means that we need to rethink knowledge and learning. And the next point is that if we try to close the gap between work of life and education, that means that we need to hear from some voices from the economic point of view, especially well-being and humanistic view of economic. That means that it's very significant message towards the higher education. We need to focus much more human factors and human motivations, especially intrinsic motivations and well-being. Turning the next part of my lecture, the Turning Talent Development Program, that I like to stress some phenomena of this program when we planned 3 years ago this program. So this is the 3 year with 3 stages of this talent development program. First is personalization. So we need to create curriculum planning and methodology and assessment view that in order to highlight the personalized learning view in higher education. which related special mentoring and tutoring system to the students in order to build branding, my branding program. That means that the new networking among the students and the teachers, and we try to focus on, from the methodological point, much more interaction, especially emphasizing cooperative learning, problem-based learning, project-based learning from the teaching and learning methods under the umbrella of competency-based education. Finally, the contextual part, turn back a little bit the meaning of knowledge. I'd like to cite the famous Hungarian root scholar Michael Polanyi, the explicit and tacit knowledge. So not just the declarative and procedural knowledge, that's the required balance on the higher education, but we need to think and focus on transforming tacit knowledge at this program, because basically traditional view of higher education concentrates and focus on explicit knowledge. And when we try to fit the global trends from the 21st century, we need to transfer and transform the tacit knowledge at this program. How can we do that? I like to cite the other Hungarian root psychologist from Chicago University, Mihály Csikszentmihalyi. The critical point, how can we do and how can we transform the domain? The first site, if you see, this domain is absolutely the cultural based. That's why we need to use intercultural education point at this talent development program because of our Hungarian and international students as well. So from this point, when we try to transform the domain at the talent development program, first view of that's the cultural symbolic knowledge. And the next point is creativity is any act, idea, or product that changes an exciting domain or that transforms an exciting domain into a new one. That means that our talented program has focused on this transformation. So the key point is the key strategy or aims of our talent development program is changing and transforming the domain. It's not so easy from curriculum development point, from teaching and learning methodological point, and finally the assessment point. Which is the focusing on this, which is the focus point on this triangle: curriculum development, teaching methodology, and assessment. Creative knowledge transfer. Because when we try to changing and transforming the domain, we need to touch and reach creative knowledge transfer. Just an example, on our program, we try to use 4 steps in order to reach this strategy or aim, changing or transforming the domain. First is information processing. How can our students process and work with reliable information? According to the international survey anyway, from the higher education point, from the Hungarian students' point, our students are really good at this first step. So they can do this information processing in order to change and transform the domain. The second point is select the information on the basis of some key questions, key concepts, and some important key domains, which are not just unidisciplinary domains, but very complex view for interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary domains as well. Selecting information on the basis of the survey data, the Hungarian students are really good at this point. So the first 2 levels on our talent development program are really good and thick. But the last 2 points, that's a huge challenge in Hungarian higher education, especially construct the information. So what they find and select, our students can't construct individually or in pairs or in groups the information in order to change and transform the domain. So we need to promote and mentoring and tutoring in order to promote them for constructing this way. And constructing information is based on intrinsic motivation, based on attitudes, and not just the cognitive domains. And finally, the last point is transferring the information. We need to promote our students for changing or transforming the domain in order to find new ways for creative knowledge transfer, which is based on the previous Csikszentmihalyi's side. This is not just the cultural based point, but the economic based point. So that's a huge challenge from the market point for our students in order to reskill their skill sets. So changing the skill sets, if you check the top 10 skills, for instance, from the job reports, from World Economic Forum, and if you check just highlighting some examples, active learning and learning strategies, how can we promote our students for learning to learn competency areas, or use analytical thinking for innovation and creativity. And if you try here critical thinking and analysis, or creativity and originality, the key point, how can we move forward from the descriptive level of knowledge and learning of our students in order to reach synthesizing, analyzing the information for using creative knowledge transfer. That's a very important statement from this cited job report, namely that 50% of all employees will need reskilling by 2025. So in 3 years, our students, we need to do high-level performance on the job market. So summarizing, changing and transforming the domains at our developing talent development program, that means that on the one hand, this is the cultural-based domain, and the other hand, this is the economic-based domain. And finally, here is the explicit and tacit knowledge. So we need to transform tacit knowledge regarding our program. From the methodological point, we use, as I mentioned, problem-based learning, project-based learning, and cooperative learning, which is based on personalization, lots of discussions via online or offline, and lots of different types of interactions. It's a really huge methodological challenge to our teachers at the university. Some examples on our talent development programs. That's a 3-year program that's called Startup Lab and InnoLab programs. And we use 6 different workshops focusing on creative and innovative thinking development with modular structure. You can see here from competency-based development of digital entrepreneurship to the circular skill development opportunities built on company. These modular structures has headed different teachers at the universities, which means that we need to create a professional network among the teachers. Basically, the traditional work at our university and basically the Hungarian higher education as well, it's absolutely based on individual work. We try to move forward for cooperation, not just among the students, but among the teachers. That's why we use 6 workshops with different modules. And in order to find and close the gap between work of life and higher education, that's why our students at this talent development program visit to some startup incubation centers where students can gather real life experiences. So that's the point traditional view by John Dewey. That's the learning by doing. It's based on experiences. And finally, each year we organize at the end of the semester the Startup Demo Day, when our students to meet and talk to successful startuppers in order to use experiences and use tacit knowledge to the next stage of Startup Lab program. So this is the magic triangle behind it. Curriculum planning, teaching and learning methodology, and assessment. At this talent development program, we try to highlight collaborative curriculum planning among the teachers. As I mentioned, we organize 6 workshops with 6 teachers, so they need to collaborate on curriculum planning using Miro, for instance, so not just a pencil and table and so on. And they are working together for planning the course, planning this talent development program. This is the new view anyway, innovative view of curriculum planning process. The next stage, the next part of this triangle, that teaching and learning methodology, that, as I mentioned, that we use lots of interactions, offline and online with the students. As David Hargraves called this one, that's collaborative professionalism. So not just professional collaboration is our aim and strategy, but we try to focus on meta level at collaborative professionalism, using lots of feedback and reflections from the teacher's part as well. And finally, traditional view of Hungarian higher education is based on summative assessment, lots of tests and exams, standardized tests. So, but at this program, at this talent development program, Startup Lab program, we try to focus on formative assessment. For example, each student at the end of the program, they need to make their portfolio on the basis of some competency standards with reflective essays and some reflective points. And we try to create the new feedback culture among the students and the teachers. The common point on this triangle, curriculum planning, teaching and learning methodology, and assessment, is innovation and creativity. We strongly believe that if we touch innovative mindset, called George Couros, so innovative mindset can help our students to reach our strategical aims. My conclusion is that transformation of cultural and economic based standard has 3 phases. The first phase, as I mentioned, that this triangle. So they require consistency among curriculum planning, teaching methodology, and assessment based on innovation and creativity. Okay, that's just the first phase. Frankly, this first phase is really a huge challenge to the teachers and to the students as well, but we need to think the second and third phase parallel to the first phase. The second phase is based on progressive teaching methodology, project problem-based learning, debating, questioning, and different forms of interactions. So we use lots of cooperative learning techniques. I like to stress here the questioning, because basically this skill, it's really important to the teachers, as you see, for instance, John Hattie's research. but we try to focus on questioning as a skill to the students. So from the first part of the program towards the end, we try to develop questioning from the student's point as well. And finally, the third phase of this transformation is absolutely that's renewing assessment culture is based on diagnostic and formative assessment. And we need to see our program, not just the individual level, okay, the capacity and added value of this program. We have some evidences that individual competencies are growing after 3-year programs. But you need to think that the team levels as a teachers and students levels, and finally, that the high level added value at the organizational levels, because the successful implementation of this talent development program, it means that change the organizational culture as well. So not just focusing on individual and team levels. This is my conclusion. And thank you for your attention. I try to close my slide. And I am come back here, I think. Thank you for your attention. I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's okay, yes. Okay.
So thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. And first of all, are there any questions from the audience? I'm wondering if there are any questions. You can type into the chat or speak out loud.
I try to check the chat.
Yeah, at the moment there's nothing in the chat. Well, the audience can also speak out loud or type into the chat. Well, maybe in the meantime, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, maybe I missed it, but for which industry do you use this talent development program? Do you target a specific industry or is it a general development program?
Just a general development program. It's not focusing on special industry area, but we work with some startups from especially the project management area.
Okay, very interesting. And how old are your students or learners? So that's probably, I missed that also, I'm not sure.
Okay. We work with 25 students for 3 years,
Okay.
BA and MA level. That means that from 19-year-old to the 23.
And that means they are full-time. Yeah, so you work with full-time students.
Yes, basically full-time students, BA and MA level, and we have some startups and workers from the different courses. So it's really a heterogeneous group. From Hungarian students to the international students work together because the working language is English.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And this is a program, you run it within Hungary, or do you run it across borders also?
No, just for Hungary.
Yeah, okay. I'm just checking the chat again if there's any questions coming so that I don't ask all the questions, but apparently not at the moment. I'd have another question for you, actually.
Please.
Do you think that the students are more ready or the teachers are more ready, or how ready are the participants? How would you say that?
My experience that students are ready for the 21st century. Basically because of this is the talent program. So we use selection point for motivation letter and some evidences regarding the interests on creativity and innovation and startups. Yeah. Students are ready for the 21st century. Some teachers are not so ready, frankly. So we need to use some workshops to the teachers regarding this program.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. So how do you support teachers so that they really can get ready?
We make a teacher's guidebook on Startup Lab Development Program. Basically, some examples, how can they use problem-based learning, project-based learning, and cooperative learning in higher education. And that's a supporting system to the teachers who try to involve at this program. That means some workshops at the university to the teachers, for instance, formative assessment techniques and tools. How can they use formative assessment at the session? So they need promotion.
Yeah, definitely. And do you work also with, I mean, is your program hybrid, or is it online, or is it on site, or I don't know, what's your experience here? What works well?
Basically, we started before COVID, offline. And after that, the majority of the program, we use Zoom for these workshops. So that's online. And I think that was the really interesting point for digitalization strategy, because we need to use Zoom progressive way in order to increase interactions among the teachers and the students. So that's basically the online workshops.
Yeah, okay. Sounds super interesting, and I'd really be keen to learn more about that. I'm just checking the chat once more. So it seems there's no questions from the audience coming. And your program, well, you said you're using 6 workshops.
Yes.
And the topics, I mean, could you give an example of how you go about in the workshops, or what kind of topics you're dealing with? Is it really innovation, creativity topics, or
marketing, tourism, and the arts? So that's absolutely transdisciplinary view of this program, and a high-level collaboration among the different departments, institutions, and for instance, different faculties. So that's why we try to create a new networking style, new networking culture inside the university.
Yeah, sounds really super exciting. And maybe one last question. So I take the opportunity to ask questions here.
Please.
About the assessment, because you also said, assessment needs to be redefined or reinvented. Have you already made some positive experience, or where are you there on the road, so to say?
From the students' point, we got lots of positive feedbacks on the basis of reflective essays. Because of value of this course and because of applied knowledge. So they absolutely, on the basis of the reflections and feedback, they can apply the knowledge immediately to the business arena. From the teacher's point, frankly, formative assessment requires much more work, because following the progression of the students via portfolios, reflective essays, and the different feedback, it's absolutely requires the different competencies from the teachers. That's why we need to promote them. How can they use this formative assessment strategy?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, super exciting journey that you embarked on, and I'm keen to learn more in the future about how you're going. Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Voss, again for your presentation, for showing up just in time.
You're welcome.
And so enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
And the weekend. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Christina.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.